Welcome to the Top 10 Gardener with Master Gardener Ken Lain. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and top 10 advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, welcome your garden host, Ken Lain.
So let me just cover real quickly a myth, a wives' tale, something that's confusing. And if you check the internet, oh my gosh, Google will dumbfound you with the different opinions of whether coffee grounds are good or bad for your gardens. How do they help? What do they do? And so coffee grounds are, if you're a coffee drinker or tea drinker or whatever you're drinking, I guess I'd say not whatever you're drinking. I should be careful with that. But let's say you've got those ground coffee used tea leaves. Those are good for the garden, but only in this respect. They're basically a top dressing. I mentioned the first part of the show. Are leaves good for the gardens? And the answer was yes, because they top dress, they keep the ground from freezing, they attract worms. They finally do compost down to where the plants can reach up and gather some of the nutrients that are broken down from the worms. And so that's what coffee grounds do. They're basically like leaves or pine needles on top of your ground. They don't actually add anything valuable to your plants in the short term. They're not, a lot of folks think of them as like a nutrient or a fertilizer, like manure, and they don't do that. And so eventually, this time next year, they might break down and kind of be a benefit, but really they don't do much. They're just a top dressing to keep weeds in check, that kind of stuff. What coffee grounds actually do, this is scientific, our universities are testing this. It does change the pH. So coffee grounds are rather acidic. And so they'll lower the pH of your garden soil. That's a good thing, because in Arizona, our soil's very alkaline. It's like off the charts. So anything we can do to bring down or to lower that pH is going to benefit your plants. And so use coffee grounds, but don't expect anything from them. Add them to your compost pile. Great stuff. They'll help break down your compost faster because they're that good for it. But don't think of them as, I'm going to put them around my houseplants and my houseplant's going to perk up and be so much better. I've got some aphids, I've got woolly aphids on my ficus, coffee grounds, and all will be salt. No, it's not going to do any of that. I've got yellow leaves. It's not going to green them up. It's not going to add new growth. Coffee grounds don't do that. They simply replace some of a very minor point, because you really, even if you had a direct access to Starbucks, you literally can't get enough coffee grounds to make a difference. And so I would say use them, but don't expect anything from them. Everyone wants to add coffee grounds and all their garden problems are gone. Doesn't do that. Same with eggs. I can say that about eggs too. Eggs, I'm going to put eggshells underneath my tomatoes. Well, that's a good source of calcium, and calcium's very good in vegetable and flower beds. They need calcium. The problem with eggshells is they break down over like 2-year period. It takes them forever. An eggshell's really hard. You grind them up, you try to get them as small as you can, but still, you're going to put eggshells in now for next year's growth. You're better off putting bone meal. Bone meal is basically the same thing. It's ground up bone, chicken bones, basically. And so it's ground up so fine, it's like a powder, so that the mycorrhizal colonies can come in, the worms can come in and break down that bone faster than even an eggshell can. Again, it's not bad for the gardens, but it's not good either. So I'd say it's kind of a neutral thing. Use it, but don't expect anything from it. Use them up. Eventually they're going to do something. But if you need bigger zucchinis, more blackberries, you need more cucumbers now, you need more lettuce now, I need more calcium in my plants now, eggs are not going to help you. Coffee grounds are not going to help you. They're just they're not going to hinder you. So that's where the myth is. They go, oh, you're going to have better gardens if you go do this, add eggshells and coffee grounds in your gardens. It's going to be magical for you. Yes, it might be if you had enough of them. I don't think you can eat enough eggs to have enough shells to make a difference in your gardens. You really do need to add phosphorus. And phosphorus comes from superphosphate or from bone meal. That's a measurable. I can add this much per 100 square feet and I know what I'm going to get. That's making a difference right now. A fertilizer, you're going to put a 744 all-purpose fertilizer down there, and it is going to make a difference within the next 3 months. It's going to you'll see the change. You can't do that with coffee grounds. It's not going to make a difference in the short term. It can't hurt. It can only help, but you're better off using those things out in the compost pile. Add it to your compost bin. Let it break down faster so it can release more consistently for you, and use it as a soil amendment to add more organic matter to your gardens rather than it's going to change the health of my plants. No, it's just going to help the roots maybe root out a little bit easier, better because of pH issues, or eventually you'll get some calcium release. But I would say don't count on coffee grounds and eggshells make a difference in your garden this year. Be right back after this with some more garden tips, tricks, and garden hacks that'll make a difference in your garden this season.
Look, if your wife, mom, or dad wants an ugly sweater for Christmas, get them a sweater, not some piece of plastic.
But if someone you truly care about loves their garden, a gift card to Waters makes perfect sense.
Next spring, she can pick exactly what she was hoping.
We all know it's not the same as a huge flower basket or fragrant rose, but hey, it's winter. Gardeners understand.
Waters online gift cards are found at top10plants.com or at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lain, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join his daily podcast for timely garden advice seasonally right for the gardens. Ken can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott or through his website at top10gardener.com.